Welcome back, YouTubers, to another WrestleMania reviews. As part of our WrestleMania review series today, the British Fist are going to be reviewing, as you can tell by the title there, WrestleMania 19. The WrestleMania which was 20 years in the making. Vince versus Hogan. I am Mr. Parkin, of course. This guy sitting next to me, he's wanted to speak for ages now. It's NJ.
What's up, people?
Finally get to say 2 words in your intro. Keep subscribing up above, like this video, and get your thoughts and comments on WrestleMania 19 down in that comment section below.
And make sure you contact us in the link in the description box below.
Yes, NJ. This was the first WrestleMania, the first ever WWE WrestleMania. We had WWF WrestleMania, now we have WWE WrestleMania. So it was out with the F and in with the E, wasn't it?
Out with the F and in with the E. Wow.
The WWF, the World Wildlife Foundation, certainly won that one, didn't they? But we got this. This was from the Safeco Field, Seattle. 54,000 people watched this. Not quite as much as the last 2, but still a decent amount of people. JR and Lawler were doing the Raw commentary, and we had Cole and Taz doing the SmackDown commentary because this was just after the brand split happened, after they got all that talent from WCW and stuff.
Yeah, again, with this, I wasn't really a fan of the split commentary. I liked it when there was just one going at it, but. Again, for it being the first time at WrestleMania, it was something different for this actual event. Yeah, a couple of things we want to talk about before we get into the card. Dark match. Lance Storm and Chief Morley defeating Rob Van Dam and Kane in a 10-minute World Tag Team Championship match. You had a SmackDown and a Raw Tag Team Championship, so you know, well, I guess one of them had to get relegated to the dark match. You put Kane in a dark match.
He's not happy. He's seen Kane go from WrestleMania 14 all the way down to dark match. I'll just say that. We also had 2 performances from Limp Bizkit and appearance by the Catfight Girls. I wasn't really a massive fan of those Catfight Girls. They had that stupid catfight with Keebler and Tori Wilson during the show, which just wasted time for me. Again,
when it comes to entertainment, I guess fans must have liked it because they get to see it in real, but when it comes to watching a wrestling event as big as WrestleMania, it's concentrated on the match that we were given.
Yeah, and a lot of the undercard matches could have done with probably more of that time, couldn't they? We opened the card with Matt Hardy versus Rey Mysterio for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Now, this match, again, you had Rey dressed up as Daredevil. Matt Hardy had Attitude. Remember?
With this whole gimmick that Matt Hardy had going, again, we found it interesting because obviously he went from the Hardys to this on his own with Shannon Moore. And again, the match itself, I'll say, for an opener with Rey Mysterio, it's interesting.
Fast paced, wasn't it?
Yeah, so with Rey Mysterio there, it was a kind of good opening.
I mean, you had 5.5 minutes there of action. It was pretty fast paced, but with more time, this could have been better. But it was some good, decent cruiserweight action to start the show. It's usually a good formula to start off with the show, getting 2 smaller wrestlers to go out there and just give us some action. They had a lot of interference from Shannon Moore. Matt Hardy wins the match, but it's still a decent opener, but probably could have been better, in my opinion, given more time.
More time would have been good, but again, with Matt Hardy being the heel, he did the cheating way, holding on the rope to get the win over Rey Mysterio. And again, it was a good match for Rey Mysterio to be at WrestleMania.
That was his first WrestleMania, wasn't it? So there we go. Next match, though, can't really say the same about the next match. Undertaker versus A-Train and Big Show. Now, before this match, it was supposed to be a tag match with Nathan Jones. And remember Nathan Jones, the guy who served 10 years in an Australian prison? They were going to make him seem like a big deal. But then you had the attack from Big Show and Prince Albert on, or Albert as he was known here, on Heat. So this turned into a 2-on-1 match.
The thing is, when I heard that it could have been a tag match, I was thinking, taking a tag match at WrestleMania when it has this whole streak thing going on, I thought it would be better for him to have a single match. But a handicap match, again, it was against 2 big guys, so it's a bit of competition, but it just wasn't the best of matches for Undertaker. Yeah, this got nearly 10 minutes, and to be honest with you, it was kind of boring. I mean, I respect Taker and everything, and this essentially got him to his 11-0, but it wasn't up there with his best WrestleMania matches, put it that way. It just seemed, to me, just seemed like another way of getting Taker on the card, and if they were going to do the whole... They had Nathan Jones interfere and stuff, but it still didn't... That kind of helped the match, but it still wasn't a very good match, in my opinion. It was just there to get Taker a win. It was kind of a letdown, because, yes, you got Big Show at WrestleMania, you got Albert at WrestleMania there, but, again... For Taker, I just don't think it was a good enough match for him. Nah,
definitely not. Next, we had a Women's Championship match. This time, it wasn't buried between the 2 main event matches. They had Victoria coming in as the champion with Steven Richards versus Trish Stratus and Jazz. Again, this was I thought this was a pretty decent women's match. You had Victoria and Jazz there, 2 women who could work, and you had Trish Stratus in there who was going to win the strap for the 4th time at this, and she... a bit surprised. I mean, obviously, she probably should have won the strap last year in her hometown, but For her to win it for the 4th time and equal Fabulous Moolah's record of 4 women's championships, it was a decent match for that. It just didn't get enough time again.
Well, to have Jazz and Trish at another WrestleMania going at it again, it was a good match, I'd say. Having Victoria there, I didn't really like the whole Steam Richards thing. That was stupid. No. But her getting a WrestleMania match, Victoria, in a title match as well at WrestleMania, the match itself, it had good aspects to it. It wasn't an awful Divas match. I'd say I was pretty good with it.
It's probably the best match we've seen so far in this WrestleMania review series, would you not think?
With the Divas in it, yes. And I'm thinking the match did flow quite nicely, yes.
It did flow quite nicely to get Trish Stratus the win, which I thought was a good moment. So there we go. That was a good match. Just lack of time really hurt it, which really hurt it, in my opinion, a little bit. We then had a backstage interview with The Rock and Coachman. Remember last year when you heard him saying, "G, hey there, G," and this year you had Rock talking about the people turning on him, and this is Act 3, the act that everyone remembers.
Yeah, I think that made a point there. It was really bigging up his match. He was saying how number 3 is the most memorable, and this was going to be the match where he actually does beat Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I miss these interviews, man. Seriously. The one that we got at Survivor Series was awesome, but I miss these interviews.
Same here.
Oh, very good. We go on to the next, the WWE Tag Team Championship match. Team Angle coming in as the champions, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas versus Los Guerreros versus Benoit and Rhino. Again, for me, considering there's 3 teams in this match, this again suffered from a lack of time, in my opinion. You had some really good tag action there. It was mostly Benoit versus Los Guerreros, but you had Edge was out due to a neck injury, so they brought in Rhino. So this whole Benoit Rhino team was kind of new. But I mean, it was good tag action. It just didn't get the time to make it better than what it was.
That's true. And the way I'm looking at this is the progression of the wrestlers. Like you've had Chris Benoit moving into the tag, you had Eddie Guerrero moving into the tag. And they had the Team Angle. So this WrestleMania had a lot of different things going for it. Wrestlers were doing different things. The match itself, it could have done with more time. Because with a tag match and with 3 teams, you do expect there to go on a good amount of time. And again, I won't say it was a bad match. It's just with a tag match being like this and at WrestleMania, more time could have been needed.
Imagine if Edge was in this match. Team Angle versus Guerreros versus Benoit and Edge. That would have been a great match. You didn't really have too much involvement from Shelton and Haas, but they win the match anyway. Like I said, it was mostly Benoit versus the Guerreros, but it was still a decent tag match. It's just that it got a lack of time, which really prevented it from going another gear up, in my opinion.
True. At first I'm thinking Chris Benoit, Rhino, not the best team, but the match itself, the right winners. Again, I like Los Guerreros, but again, with Team Angle winning retaining the titles, I liked it.
And really, with the next 5 matches on this card, we got a pretty stacked card from now on, didn't we? We had 5 matches with a lot of star power in there. And, you know, again, these last 5 matches all got pretty decent time. We started off this part of the WrestleMania. This is where WrestleMania really started picking up. With Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. The whole story going in being about Jericho wanting to be the next HBK. And, you know, but he wanted to be the first. Now he wanted to be the first Chris Jericho. What a great match this was between these two. And what a great story this was. Especially right in the middle of that card. It really helped pick WrestleMania up a lot, didn't it?
Well, with video packages and the story behind this match, I was really looking forward to this. I can remember this match, the build-up of them going against each other. I was really looking forward to this, and this match could not let me down just of how great these two can perform against each other.
Yeah, I mean, you had Jericho imitating HBK's move set and stuff like that, and, you know, again, it was just a really good match, and, you know, between 2 guys that could work, it told a very good story. It went on for 22.5 minutes, so it got plenty of time to tell a story, and it is probably the best, would you say the best match on this card, the best quality match on this card?
Well, with these having the real big names in the WWE, and this being a great match for Chris Jericho because you're going to get someone like Shawn Michaels, I'd say this match had a lot going for it. So yes.
After HBK wins with the roll up, and was it the roll up? I can't remember. But we had the post match. Jericho goes to hug Michaels, then kicks him in the balls.
Again. I'm kind of glad that happened. As much as people think, how can you do that to Shawn Michaels? It does add a lot to Chris Jericho's character. They've had a great match, and then that final spot where he just takes down Shawn Michaels.
I mean, you heard JR saying, "What a sex sadistic bastard!" You know, all that kind of. He sold that shit well, didn't he, JR?
I think with that feud didn't just finish there.
The 2008 feud, remember that?
It went on, yeah.
God.
So I'm thinking with these two, you can put them in the match, and you know you're going to get a great match. So I'm saying that this match was very good for this WrestleMania.
It was, and it really helped pick up the pace of this WrestleMania. And a very, very, very good match between these two. After this, we had the World Heavyweight Championship match: Triple H versus Booker T. Again, this story played along with Booker T. You had Triple H bringing up Booker T's criminal past and how the WCW was, you had the whole Booker T five-time WCW champion, and saying people like David Arquette and Vince Russo won it, so it was a joke. And Booker T was billed as this massive underdog, and to be honest, when you're going against Triple H, you're always going to be a massive underdog, aren't you? Let's face it.
When it comes to this, Booker T, again, he was saying how important this match is, because obviously how he'd been brought up and how he got into this match. The way it gave some importance to bet on Booker T's half, but when you're going against Triple H, a guy who's, as you heard in the video package, how built up he was, how much he was going to kick Booker T's ass, you had a big feeling what was going to happen. Yeah,
I mean, it was essentially, you were any surprised that Triple H really won this? Because to be honest with you, I don't think Booker T was really built up to Triple H's level. So all the time I'm thinking to myself, well, Booker T's never going to win this match. Triple H has to win it. And of course, he had the Evolution faction, and later on in the year, he would feud with Goldberg over that belt. So he was always pretty much going to win. He wins with the pedigree. The match was okay. It's just that Booker T was never really on the same level as Triple H. So I couldn't suspend my disbelief enough to really think this match could be Booker T's, even though it would have been nice if he did win. You knew Triple H was going to win this.
We all knew that Triple H was going to win, but the thing about this, I'm a Triple H mark, all know that. But when it came to the match, the ending was a bit sloppy for me, because obviously when it comes to pedigree, it was just a bit of a pause and that. But again, the match itself, it was a Triple H match. It did good for Booker T because he had a WrestleMania match against one of the biggest Triple H, but he just weren't a likely candidate to win.
Yeah, I guess so. That makes sense to me. So after that World Heavyweight Championship match, we have 20 years in the making. Vince McMahon versus... Well, let me tell you something here, brother. The Hulkster's coming out. He's gonna carry on Hulkamania with his Mr. America gimmick, brother. Hogan.
The big thing about Hogan is that the big question was, is Hogan's career in the WWE over?
Yes, because this whole story was based around a lot of real-life stuff. Hogan's career was on the line, like you said. This is all about Vince McMahon trying to kill Hulkamania because he started Hulkamania. And you have the whole thing with, they referred to the history. They had a lot of history, which is why they didn't like each other. Hogan testified against Vince McMahon in that whole child thing in the 90s. And you had a lot of real-life heat going into this. And this is why it was such a felt like a real big rivalry. 20 years in the making of WrestleMania. My God.
The good thing about this match, again, they're good at this, the WWE.
Yeah.
Video packs before, showing the history, showing how Vince McMahon was a bit on Hogan's side, and how their rivalry grew over the years. And it led to this match, which, again, it got us really wanted to see this. Even though it's got Vince McMahon in the match, but still, it was a match to look for.
To be honest with you, you got Hulk Hogan, one of the biggest babyfaces ever to hit to WWE, and Vince McMahon, one of the best heels. So this is essentially always going to be a pretty decent match in terms of the way they work the match and the crowd psychology of the year. Because let's face it, these guys couldn't work in the ring very well, but they could do other things better, like work the crowd, the in-ring psychology. And this match to me was, it wasn't as good as Shane versus Vince, in my opinion. It probably isn't as good as Shawn Michaels versus Vince either, but it was still a good storytelling match for me. And you had a bit of weapon usage. Vince McMahon jumping off the ladder, doing the leg drop. Again, you got to see Vince McMahon's facials and stuff here, and the way he tells the story, and the way Hogan plays to the crowd is such a great crowd manipulator. It just made this match brilliant for me.
The thing that made this match big for me is that it drew blood. It drew good spots for two older men. And you had the interference of Roddy Piper, which added that, celebrity, a legend.
Legend.
Income. Added that, and then you had the referee of...
Sylvain Grenier,
So there's a lot going on in this match that leaning towards Vince's side, but obviously the result was going to be Hogan.
I mean, with Hogan's career on the line, you can essentially say that he'll probably always generally win these matches. Just a good match. Hogan wins with the 3 leg drops. He beats Hogan, he beats Vince McMahon, sorry, but the strength of the storyline was what did this for me. It's a match which people did want to see, and it happened at WrestleMania, so it's one of those big WrestleMania entertainment matches, as you so call them.
And in the past, we spoke about Vince McMahon getting involved at WrestleMania, so for him to actually be in a match, a big match like this, It was something different to what he's done in the past WrestleManias we've reviewed. So I'm saying with this match, I'm going to give it a thumbs up for Vince McMahon and Hogan.
Yep, same here. And after this, though, you had the whole Mr. America gimmick and all that shit, didn't you? With Vince McMahon trying to prove that Mr. America was Hulk Hogan. Remember that with the lie detector?
Oh, that. Because the thing is, the whole thing was Vince fired his ass.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Next, we had Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is how much stacked this card was. You had Vince Hogan, you had Triple H Booker T, Jericho Michaels. Now you have Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. A match which main evented 2 WrestleManias before. This was the 3rd match of their trilogy. You had Rock coming back as heel, which was very, very entertaining. He wanted to get retribution for the 2 losses at WrestleMania. Again, great story because you're putting a cap on this whole feud, especially seeing as we found out that Austin and Rock wouldn't really wrestle too much after this match.
No, in this match, again, for it being the 3rd time, you do expect it to... In a way, the WWE want to try and outdo the other matches, but if they could do it, maybe not. But this match did have a lot of importance for both wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the strength of the story was pretty big here. You know, it was the last time we saw Austin in the ring. And you had that whole thing in 2002 where Austin picked up his ball and went because he didn't want to put over Brock Lesnar. He wasn't happy with his creative direction. Didn't mind doing the job for Rock, though, did he? It was a good match. I did enjoy this match. It wasn't as good as their previous 2 matches, in my opinion, but the emotion and the importance behind it and the story behind it, with it being the 3rd in the trilogy and Rock finally winning, was what put it over for me.
The thing that did it for me is that in the match, you see a lot going on in the match. You see a lot from Austin, Rock bringing in a bit of entertainment in the match, then them doing each other's finishes like they would do. There's a lot going on in this match, and it came down to you thinking Austin's not going to lay down for the Rock, but eventually, rock bottom, down he goes.
3 rock bottoms it took to get him down there. I loved in the match when Rock put on Austin's jacket and never managed to get any offense in with the jacket on. You had Jerry Lawler saying, please take the jacket off, Rock, please take the jacket off. And then you have Rock focusing on Austin's injured knee. He's got the knee braces on. But, you know, Rock wins the match and he would essentially, after this, you'd have Austin who wouldn't wrestle again for WWE, essentially. And then you had Rock after this going on to put Goldberg over after Backlash. And then he would leave. Shame a year later, Goldberg would leave. But there we go. A good match before the main event, especially with the story and the strength of the characters there.
And with Rock and Austin near the main event, again, I'm thinking they've got this card right for this. Rock and Austin, Rock wins. Again, good match before the main event.
And this is what I mean about the stacked card, because after this match, you had Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. Now, a couple of things before we go into this match. Brock Lesnar, the reason why they put him in this main event is because Vince McMahon wanted to push the hell out of Brock Lesnar. They took him out of OVW. Within a year, he was main eventing at WrestleMania. God damn. You can see why they put this as the main event, didn't you? Because they wanted Brock Lesnar to have that massive main event because Vince McMahon loved Brock Lesnar, didn't he?
The thing with Brock Lesnar and the WWE, I think Vince McMahon saw a star in this. They saw many future ideas for him. They thought, going against Angle, again, a guy who could work matches against wrestlers, was going to be a great wrestler to go against Brock Lesnar at a big event like WrestleMania. Yeah,
you had Brock Lesnar winning the 2003 Royal Rumble, so your 2003 Royal Rumble winner was in the main event, unlike this year, unlike last year when you had Edge and Alberto Del Rio opening the card. But you had the whole thing before the match with Angle had neck issues before, and they was really unsure if they actually were going to do this match, but in the end they did it anyway because Angle did want to put Brock Lesnar over. I don't know about you, NJ, but I never brought Brock Lesnar as a babyface, especially after the way they did it with Heyman turning on him and Big Show. I thought it was just way too early to try and make a babyface. So much better as a heel, Brock Lesnar.
The way I see this, like I've said past, big guys play better heels, and with Brock Lesnar, the way he came in, the way he had all these big matches, and the future of the WWE, you would see a heel in this. So for him to go babyface, yes, I don't think it was the best.
He was only with WWE for 2 years as well, which is a massive shame because if he had carried on with WWE, John Cena wouldn't be the face of the company at the moment. I know that would make you happy, NJ. What about the match itself, though? With both guys having amateur-style wrestling backgrounds and being pretty decent workers and having very good in-ring chemistry, as we saw by this and their SummerSlam match, they pulled out a pretty fucking good match, didn't they?
With this being the main event, the WWE put a lot of faith in these two to put on a great main event. With these two, the match was, I give it a thumbs up because the way it flowed, you had again, just like other matches throughout the night, finishers, trying to beat each other down, take more than just one finisher. So you had a lot going on in this match to keep your hopes up on who would win. Yeah,
and to be honest with you, the match was going on really, really well until we get to probably one of the most famous finishes ever at a WrestleMania. The botch of the century, I think they would probably call it. You had Brock Lesnar doing the shooting star press. By the way, miles too far away from Angle, but he does it and he botches it, and then they have to cut the match short because obviously Brock's probably injured his neck doing it. It's the reason why this match is remembered, isn't it? The botch that happened. It could have been a really, really great match, but the botch happened and it kind of ruined the ending for me.
The thing is, I think the WWE, Brock Lesnar, shall we say, should have realised that it was a big space. Yeah. But I think it's all for Angle's safety to be out of the way, so it's not too painful for him when he falls down. But again, it should have been a moment that would have happened in the main event if he actually hit it. Imagine
if he hit the shooting star press. That would have been a WrestleMania moment right there, wouldn't it? But the botch made it an equal WrestleMania moment, really, didn't it?
But again, the botch didn't take anything away from the match. The match was still a great main event for WrestleMania.
Yeah, and Brock Lesnar essentially wins, and they embrace after the match. After this, Brock Lesnar would go on to defend his championship against John Cena, and Angle would be out until SummerSlam, where they would have a rematch. So the storyline actually continued after this, I believe. So a good main event to round up this WrestleMania, which was pretty good in my opinion. You had WWE really stacking the card in the last 5 matches, and you had them, their main focus, which was Brock Lesnar at the time, being put over by Angle. So
I agree with that. Yeah.
In 2003, they would introduce Goldberg. Remember, they had Rock defeating Goldberg at Backlash, and he would go on to feud with Triple H and Evolution as well. So you had that kind of stemming from this. They wanted to introduce Goldberg on the Raw after WrestleMania and get him going in the WWE. Shame, again, he was only there for a year.
A bit of a shame for Goldberg, because obviously he did have big storylines in that year, but it just wasn't enough to keep him around.
What are your overall thoughts on WrestleMania 19 then?
At first, the first few matches, I'm going to include the Divas match just because of the time, but the first few matches I just thought, this is not giving me a positive feeling. Yeah, they were title matches, so I'm going to give thumbs up to that. But it's when it got to the Shawn Michaels and Jericho match, things actually picked up. You saw matches get more time. The WWE actually concentrated on these wrestlers, and also when it comes to the main event, they had the right guys involved in WrestleMania.
Yeah.
They made use of the wrestlers in the main event, so I really like that.
I mean, you had a very stacked card. I mean, in the undercard, you had Rey Mysterio, you had Eddie Guerrero, you had Chris Benoit, you had Trish Stratus, you had The Undertaker. So you had all those stars even in the undercard. The undercard, to me, it wasn't necessarily bad. It was just it didn't get enough time, and I felt they could have probably appropriated their time a lot better on this. But the last 5 matches were what made this pay-per-view for me. Jericho, Shawn Michaels, fantastic match. Triple H, Booker T was an okay to good match. Vince versus Hogan, again, great storyline. Rock versus Hogan. Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. I apologise for the botch. Like Brock Lesnar himself, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the review, of course. In that main event slot. And that was a good match as well, and the main event delivered too. So for me, this was, despite the undercard being a little bit underwhelming, the last 5 matches delivered, and that's really what you want to deliver on a pay-per-view, isn't it? Which means I thought this WrestleMania was generally quite good.
I just expected maybe Undertaker to have had a better opponent, and then he got himself higher up in the card, made it a good, more stacked up for Undertaker, but sadly he got a match like that.
What, against A-Train and Big Show?
And the second match on the card.
Oh, God. What is your overall grade on this one, then?
Okay, because of, obviously, the beginning part of WrestleMania, I'm going to give it probably an A-.
An A-?
I wouldn't give it an A because obviously that's something special. But
WrestleMania 17.
The way I feel that it weren't WrestleMania 17, but it was still a pretty strong WrestleMania.
No, not as good as WrestleMania 17, but at the same time, it had a very stacked card. You had a lot of star power there. The matches that needed to deliver, delivered. So for me, this does get somewhere in between a B+ or an A-. It's not as good as WrestleMania 17, or maybe even 14 in some sense of the word in terms of historical significance, but still a very good WrestleMania, which I did enjoy watching, especially those last 5 matches. So there we go. There are our thoughts on WrestleMania 19, guys. Make sure you get your thoughts on this WrestleMania down in that comment section below. We want to hear your thoughts. Now, NJ, unlike the actual WrestleMania we just reviewed where they botched the finish, how about you give a nice clean finish for the people out there?
Welcome to TNA. I mean WWE. Yeah, I find that botch quite funny. Anyway, this has been WrestleMania 19. What a great WrestleMania it was. Leave your thoughts about the WrestleMania we've got in the comment section below. And that has been it from the British Fist, Mr. Parkin, and me, NJ. Till next time, for WrestleMania 20, goodbye.